Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon. We have a few guests joining from different parts of the country. So on behalf of Imam Tariq Al-Amin, the resident Imam of Masjid Al-Taqwa, and the Talim Committee, chaired by Dr. Aisha El-Amin, and also on the committee, Dr. Lionel Allen Jr., Sister Rashida Fitzpatrick, and myself, we welcome you to today's Talim. I am most excited to welcome our guest today. So I will open today with the Muslim prayer, our opening Al-Fatiha. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yomidin, Iyyak na'budu wa iyyak nasta'in, Ihdina siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim, ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. And I will give an English translation. With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Praise be to God, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, the merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer, master of the day of judgment, and cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. Thee do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those whose portion is not wrath and who go not astray. So, again, greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Today's topic and presenter, I'm so proud to present. We have my dear new friend, Brother Jeffrey Snowell. Sometimes known, Snowell, sometimes known as the Great Encourager. He is a motivational speaker. He is a trainer. He has a quite lengthy bio, and I'm gonna just skip around because it's like 15 pages long. But he is the president of and owner of Snowell Consulting, Inc., a training and development company that specializes in helping organizations, businesses, and schools solve people problems. Each and every day, he helps others to discover their full potential by training employees and management, as well as engaging in professional coaching. He hails from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and he was the first in his immediate family of 4 brothers and 5 sisters to graduate from college. He received his bachelor's degree in political science and sociology, and his master's degree in sociology from Lehigh University. He moved to Philadelphia to pursue a PhD in sociology, and after completing his coursework, he received a job offer to work at PECO Energy as the director of affirmative action. And after PECO, he went on to corporate positions as director of human resources management at Comcast Cellular Communication, Children's Television Workshop, the producers of Sesame Street in New York. And again, his bio is quite lengthy. But one of his greatest passions is that as a motivator. And so without further ado, I will present our dear brother here, Brother Jeffrey Snowell. And his topic today is sharing God's gifts. And I will let Brother Snowell take over.
So the title of the message is Sharing God's Gift with Your Family and Your Community and the Greater World. And so I have been wrestling with this notion of what are our God-given gifts. So today is a day of self-reflection. It's to pull upon all that you read, all that you know, all that you've experienced, all that you've taught, all of the things you wrestle with, and to finally conclude, what are our God-given gifts? And so in order to tease that out, I want you to think of a track race. In a track race, before the race, we go, on your mark, get set, and go. Now, I'm going to take that notion from track and apply it to understanding and placing and framing our God-given gifts. So let's go back. On your mark, this is about how do you discover your God-given gifts, okay? Get set is about practicing it, knowing it, practicing it, knowing it, and then the final analysis, go means go out unto the world and share it with the world. I have stumbled upon this last Saturday. So I need to give a special thanks to my Muslim sister, Gail, who has always been my great teacher and motivated me and encouraged me to keep going when I was very young. I'm now 57. And so Gail was at the masjid. And what masjid was it, Miss Gloria? Masjid Allah.
Yes.
In Philly.
In Philadelphia. Let me just interject one thing quickly, and that is this is an interactive discussion. And so we encourage all of our guests today to raise your virtual hand and jump in there, because we want this to be very, very interactive.
Yeah. We often think of gifts and talents. I'm not going to give you that answer. The primary purpose and focus at the epicenter of this discussion should be, I've lived a full life. What are my God-given gifts? First question. Why might it be important to know your God-given gifts? It's open to the group. Why might it be important to know your God-given gifts?
I think one reason is to get a focus for your life.
Well said. Someone else? Why is it important to know your God-given gifts?
I think it's important to know your God-given gifts so that you can show gratitude to God for giving you that gift.
Well said. Yes, absolutely.
If I can make a comment.
Sure.
In the Quran, Allah, God says that He has given all of us a talent, or given us a way and shown us a way. So all of us have a certain gift, certain talents that each one of us have, and we recognize them. Then we should recognize them and give benefit to society with the talents we have.
Yes. Anyone else?
There are a couple comments in. Folks are traveling and they're joining as they travel. From Dr. Aisha, so that you are living in your purpose.
Sure, absolutely.
And then we've had from Sister Amiel Mateen, to establish how you can serve others.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to. This is Layla. I would like to say thank you, Sister Gloria, for inviting me, and assalamu alaikum to everyone. Good afternoon, and please excuse me. I came in a little late, but just real quick, I think that for me, the importance of it is that then I know how to do my job, because I think that my existence here on this earth is to be a tool for God, and that's my job. And so if I know the purpose or, my talent, then I can do that job well, hopefully.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Again, we're going to close this question out. Why is it important to know your God-given gifts? Anyone else? If not, I'm going to go to the three-part framework of what I want to share and talk and discuss with you. I said on your marks. So out of that notion of that first bucket, on your mark is really about discovering your God-given gifts. So I'm going to pose some questions to the group. Again, this whole presentation, this whole interaction, this whole discussion is for you to know your God-given gifts. And in the final analysis, go out onto the world and get it done and do it up. So I post,
Brother
sure.
Jeffrey, this is about your own self-discovery?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Did you have a question for me, or you just saying?
No. I'm just, yeah, that's the question. Is it about your own self-discovery?
Yeah, I think it is. And I'm kind of prodding, nudging all of you that by now, most of us have a vast life experience. And so before we get to knowing our gifts, we often stumble upon it. Someone tells us, hence, this is the question before the group. How did you discover it? How did you discover 1, 2, or 3? How did you discover your primary gift from God? Anyone, it's open. And you get to tell it. And it's not for me to disagree, but it's about self-discovery, because we become that which we are through the grace of God, right? And so it's important. Do you ever meet someone, oh, they definitely got a gift, but no one told them? That's common. Or they think they got the gift, but you say, I don't see it. Okay? So when you reflect upon your life, next question. How did you discover your God-given gift?
That's a hard question.
You think?
I have a comment.
Sure.
And I think we all by nature have God-given gifts. For myself, and many of us are aware that Allah, God in the Quran, he points out that he has provided these gifts to the human being, that he created him from sperm, and then he's developed and grown and given him a mind. And from that mind, he has developed a world that we see today. And those many talents in the human mind that has built this world, built the world of knowledge, the world of agriculture, architecture, and all of the developments that civilization that we see in civilization today. And man has, these individuals have developed those talents throughout the civilization of man.
Yes.
We do have a comment from Dr. Aisha, and she says that I'm really good at it, and it brings my soul joy. And that's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, please come on.
I think I discovered it primarily from watching my parents, particularly my mother, and how she brought me up. And I just admired so much her ability to be able to teach and be able to bring about knowledge to students and take them from a point of not knowing to knowing. And when I recognized myself in my mother, and I was someone, actually my high school teacher told me that I would make a good teacher. And I was only a freshman in high school, but because I was working with another student, one of my classmates, she said just the way that I was helping them, that I would make a good teacher. And so I think the more I applied that, and I went for educating myself and becoming a teacher, and then I just realized how closely connected my nature is to my mother's. It just made it like, it's like common sense. Like, yeah, this is what you're able to do because you're so much like your mother. And then it became something that was very fulfilling for me. And it brought me, as Sister Dr. Aisha said, it brought me joy. And it brought me a sense, something that I can reflect upon, and I could feel good about knowing this is what I'm doing with myself. So that's seeing myself in my mother and having someone affirm it outside of my mother, that this would be a talent for me, a gift. It was a gift that I had, and I've been able to do it for the past. And I think being able to do it day after day, and year after year, and it still brings you peace and joy and a sense of accomplishments, I think that's how you know that you're living in your you're using your God-given gifts.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Sister Rashida. I think for some people, I am naturally introverted and a little shy, so sometimes it's hard to recognize your own gifts, and it takes a lot of introspection.
Yes, I agree. Somebody else, how did you stumble upon, how did you discover your God-given gift? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a moment of reflection for all of you. How did you discover it?
Another, and this is a broad topic, but I think throughout my life experiences, I've been in spaces where I've been able to receive information that people in my particular association may not have been able to receive. And I don't know if it's a gift necessarily, but there was a duty I think I placed on myself, and it's probably influenced by other leaders or people that I respected, to share whatever it is that I've learned, that I've been exposed to, that could benefit my association or associations.
Yes.
I think too, with as Brother Rod just mentioned, being in different spaces gives you opportunity to begin to recognize your own gifts that you may not have previously seen. And so exposure, right?
Yes. Okay, are we ready for the next question? So oftentimes we discover it. I agree with the person that said through her mother, she learned that her gift was teaching. And so I was blessed with an extraordinary teacher at school who saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And two of the things she did was, I have a background in journalism and was a news reporter because of her early in my career, right after college. But she really saw my ability to speak, to encourage people through my own voice. And so that led me to teaching. And I thought that's where I would stay. Later on, we'll talk about, does God multiply our gifts? As we continue to study, does God begin to multiply our gifts? I have a question. Still, as you discover God's gift, again, it's your tale. It's what you think. Did you ever do something and you go, I'm doing that, I'm really good at that, but that is not my God-given gift? Has anyone, I pose it to the group, had an experience, say you were talented at that, getting a good return, but in your spirit and in your prayer time with Almighty God, you felt, but that's not my primary gift from God? Has anyone in this group had that experience?
Yes, I have. This is Layla.
Uh-huh.
So my educational background, my professional, whatever, my degrees in early childhood development. And I thought, because I loved my kindergarten teacher, I thought I would be a kindergarten teacher for the rest of my life, and that was my passion, that was my gift, that was everything. But as time evolved, and as Sister Gloria and Roger talked about being in spaces and seeing your gift, brighter and brighter, it showed me that, yes, it was a passion to educate young ones, but it was one of the dots that over time have connected me to my gift.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. So can I ask the follow-up question? So this one particular dot, and it connected to other things. What was after that? What did it connect you to, catapult you to? Where did it lead you?
Well, one of the things, you just made me think of something. One of the things that it led me to, and I'm in a space now where I think, Dr. Aisha's mother-in-law and Imam Tariq, their mother, Zakia, my dear friend, we worked together at the Claire Muhammad School as teachers in the pre-K. And I think it helped both of us because we used to do what pre-K teachers do or kindergarten teachers do. We sang, we taught the kids, the children, how to do certain lessons, and taught academics through song and play, et cetera, et cetera. And she has her puppeteer company that's been going on for over a decade or so now, and it's very successful. And I'm now an author of 3 books of poetry and have recited poems and won awards around the world. So
hello.
Yeah, it brought out that art in me, that artist.
Yes. Now that's what I'm talking about. Yes.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
That is absolutely beautiful. Can we then follow up and say, and your 3 books are what? What are they? What are they titled?
So my first book is Sharing, and the second one is Life is a Cup to be Filled, and the latest one is Sitting Under the Tree, poems commemorating Juneteenth.
Oh, wow.
What's
Thank
the last
you for asking.
one? Repeat the last one. I'm just writing them down.
It's Sitting Under the Tree, poems commemorating Juneteenth.
Okay, boy, beautiful.
Can I just give feedback? You're illustrating one of the takeaways or primary parts of thinking through this, that we may start one place and the world may tell us one thing. That's why it's good to have a relationship with God Almighty, because in our quiet time, he often reveals it. And in another space, he can reveal it through over and over again. People are saying that you got the gift. Now, this is an interesting observation, and tell me what you think. From years of coaching people in business, out of business, homeless shelters, social service agencies, in the community, being a foster parent, I've noticed that people who are very gifted may not always see the gift. It is quite common when you start to educate and teach very gifted people, and I don't mean just in the educational sense, I mean in the spiritual realm, etc. It's God-given. They may not always see it. It has to unfold, right? It has to grow and nurture and bear fruit. But have any of you had that experience that you said, wow, I didn't see it, but they pointed it out to me? And thanks be to God that they did, because it fundamentally changed your life and how you connected with God, and also the work you end up doing. Has anyone had that experience? You didn't see it, but God had brought people in your path to keep nudging you, showing you, helping you to see it. The floor's open. Has anyone had that experience?
I have had that experience in many ways. My career started in social work, and I will always be a social worker, always. But I had opportunity and exposure to alternative health, and I began explore the education and really develop quite a passion for alternative and integrative medicine. And that led me down the road to, of course, acupuncture. And that then led me down the road to complete energy medicine. And that led me down the road to Reiki, and how Reiki connects you, more on the energy, your energy connection to the Almighty, to Allah.
Yes, thank you, Miss Gloria. Someone else. You didn't see it, but God starts sending you people to reveal it to you. And so in the final analysis, you now know it. Anyone?
I see, let me see if he's still, I don't know if Imam Tariq is able to speak at all. But if you are Imam Tariq, not to put you on the spot, but you have some very unique gifts. And, I would love to hear you speak about your gifts. You've traveled a very, very, very interesting road. If you're able to speak.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Glory. I just parked. That comment about not necessarily recognizing your gifts, some people not recognizing their gifts, that really resonated with me for a number of reasons. And I think primarily among them is being in a position where you are constantly looking for it, where others may say you have a particular gift in this area, but you know personally, like, there are things about myself that I don't see. I'm not quite aware of those things. I've had a lot of different experiences that I attribute to my upbringing. My mother, as Sister Layla mentioned, working together, and my mother's a playwright and director, drama teacher, and she instilled a sense of comfort in verbal expression, and being tapped into creativity. So speaking in front of people, whether it doesn't really matter how many people is, that's something that's never been a worry for me. Doesn't mean that you don't have moments where you get nervous, but it's not a fear. And actually a very comfortable place for me. And I think aside from that, I personally feel I'm not necessarily sure what Dr. Gloria thought I was going to mention. She would probably have to tell me, but I would say that there's a sense of constantly being in search of that gift, understanding that to be given a gift is to be put in a position of responsibility.
Yes.
That you are responsible to discharge that gift, to really be a conduit, to give it. It is not for you to recognize and to hold on to, but it really is for you to recognize and to give, whatever that is. So I feel personally to be in a constant state of looking to see what do I have to give. So I guess in that sense, it is it's a constant state of self-exploration to see what gift will present itself, and then what is the best way for me to go about using that and discharging. But the easiest thing for me to kind of point to is just a comfort, if you will, and I wouldn't even describe it as a gift, but a comfort with regard to just verbal expression and speaking.
Yes, that was what I was referring to, in addition to the fact that I think, in our conversations, that 20 years ago, I
Mhm.
don't know if you would have seen yourself here.
No, no, not at all.
Yes,
You mean
and that's what I'm
amen?
speaking about. That journey, because being on the journey is a gift too.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a gift
Yeah.
as well, right? And
Right.
that's what I'm speaking of. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to point out too, because there are many talented people on this Phileem today, and sometimes we may not know it ourselves, and other people recognize. I think that's what we're discussing here is how.
Yep.
And just recently, I was at a presentation with Sister Gloria. Known Sister Gloria for some time, heard some other presentations, but at this particular presentation, it made me even more aware of the talents that she has developed and God has blessed her with. And sometimes, and what as you start off, this is a motivational address. You're a motivational speaker, and sometimes we need that motivation, people to motivate us. In fact, in the Quran, Allah tells Prophet Muhammad to rouse the believers. So at times we've got to give that motivation to people, and sometimes we don't recognize it ourselves, and we'll be making contributions, but someone comes to tell you your contribution is very valuable, and once they recognize it, then you see the value in it, and you may start developing that particular talent you may have. Let me point to the negative side. The story of Malcolm when he was a young man, and he said he wanted to be an attorney, a lawyer. And the teacher said, "Well, your people can't do that." So that's that's a great need of motivation and people to recognize people's talent.
Yes. Someone else, you didn't see it, but other people pointed it out to you that fundamentally changed the trajectory of your life and what you end up doing and practicing.
Sister Rashida, did I see your
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, I was going to speak on I was actually in search of something more a couple of years ago, and I thought maybe it would be in one direction, and then my niece, I was visiting her, and I was just observing something that was going on, in a family gathering, and she just mentioned, she was like, you know what, you're really good at paying attention to behavior. You might make a very good board certified behavior analysis, because I pay attention to behaviors and why people do what they do and how they respond to it. And so her saying that, I was just like, really? And because no one has said anything other than I'm a good teacher. And so when my niece recognized that in me, because she is a BCBA, I thought about it, and I started working for an agency working with children with autism as a behavior tech. And I was at a place where I was actually celebrated, appreciated, and congratulated for showing up. And that's when I knew, that's another thing, when you know that this is a God-given gift, when others make you feel so comfortable in that environment, and you feel so you feel like you're really contributing for the greater good. And so I ended up becoming I took the test to become a registered behavior tech, and now I'm actually pursuing, and I'm trying not to I guess pull back from it, because I'm like, do I want to put myself out there to take the classes? But I really believe I would be good at becoming a board certified behavior analysis. So I am going to be taking the classes, God willing, starting this August. But it was all based on an observation that she made a couple of years ago, and me actually trying my hand at it and realizing that, yes, this is something that I would like to pursue when I am done teaching. So it's like you said, I have more to contribute. I do believe I have more to contribute to society, and using the talents that I already have of being patient and working well one-on-one with children. So yes, that did happen. And when you mentioned it, I was like, yeah, that exactly. I mean, it happened exactly like that. And I wasn't necessarily looking for it, but I was looking for something more fulfilling. And when she told me that, then that's when I pursued it. So all praise to God.
That's
Jeffrey,
beautiful.
Jeffrey, can you I just saw a note in from Imam Tariq El-Amin, and I was thinking much of what he put in his note, but I didn't want to put him on the spot and say what I'm about to say now, because I know you asked for what what's happening with us internally. But I want to make an observation in light of comments that Imam Tariq made about his upbringing, his mother making him feel comfortable in groups. And it made me think about all of us as Muslims who are studying our religion. We always have something to say because God has given us something to say. But what I recognize in Imam Tariq's upbringing and history and comments is his not only having something to say because of our scripture, but also accepting the role as a servant leader.
Yes.
And I recognize that in him, and I think that all of the things that have led up to where he is now is because of accepting the spirit of being a servant leader.
There's
right.
many
That was beautifully put.
Yeah. There are many corporations now hope and train their executives in leadership on servant leadership. So that is a timely response. And then the woman before that mentioned working with autism. I have trained behavioral techs in years ago when I was a mobile therapist, and that is a field that most people are not gifted in and do not want to do it. So there's always many openings for a behavioral specialist, the leader of the team who analyzes the data and then applies it and hands it to others. So the woman that spoke before that, I want to encourage you to do that. And also the previous person that spoke, wow, what a powerful gift to be a servant leader. Wow.
Yes. I'm going to just read Imam Tariq's comments. I guess I would say the gift of leadership. I didn't expect it or recognize it at first. I've come to see it as a gift that has to be cultivated and continue to try to develop it for the benefit of my community. So yes, well put, Imam Tariq. Thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to make this other observation, and I know, Jeffrey, that you mentioned in your bio that you worked in affirmative action. And on the opposite side of affirmative action is to, I don't know if this is the correct way, de-affirm, but in this society, we as African Americans, had the affirmation of our ability to have talents has been put down. And if you put down a person, that can also thwart a person developing those talents. And just your reflection too in that area of affirmative action. How do you see that, in this, what we're talking about as a talents?
Sir, you are, that is really good. I'm moved by it because after the coursework for the PhD, I ended up at 25 becoming no doubt one of the highest ranking Black males in corporate Philadelphia. And there was a white woman I trained with. She got me the job at Pico, the utility company. And I handled and represented Pico in court around discrimination. And I was the keeper of the affirmative action plan of the corporation. And so they had mounting, and I'm going to tie this back to you, they had mounting number of lawsuits where our employees were saying they don't feel affirmed. They feel discriminated against. I was always, I'm from a small town, and I always felt you solve people problems, and then I fell into my gift by meeting with the people. So I started to meet with the people as the affirmative action EO officer of the corporation. My peers were like, directors don't do that. I did, and the numbers started to go down. And among the employee population, just from taking them to lunch, about 2 months into it, my boss says to me, Jeffrey, keep doing it. And you now have an expense account at that restaurant to take them anytime you'd like to do so. So I had stumbled upon my gift that I had the ability to reach people, that people, when they hear my voice, feel that I'm sincere and that I will follow up. And in the end, I grew my consulting business around people know me from handling the most complex EEO affirmative action issues for major corporations in Philly that led me to a 10-year contract to handle it for the largest provider of retirement community. And that really built my house. But when we apply it back to the gift, that was a gift I did not know. So the role may change. And don't be afraid that when the gift rises up, it may lead you to a better place. Now, I'll tell you something. I did not finish my PhD. The year before I get this big time job, one of my peers was de-affirming me, and I left school. And I go home that summer, my sister Gail's on the line, and everybody's saying to me, Jeffrey, why would you not finish? You only got a year or two and you're done. And I said this, and this is why I'm talking about it. This is where my passion is. I said, Gail, I'm not giving up. No way, no way. I'm just taking the torch, which is the essence of my life, and I'm putting it in a different direction. God gave me that. And from there, I've had a series of success where my gifts kept multiplying because I kept answering his call. And God has called me not to be a minister in a church, but I'm a field person. I'm a field Negro. I do well out in the field. And so it's still true today. I train foster parents, and they can't deal with these difficult children, but I can, because I'm the youngest of 10 kids. And so a lovely mother holding us all together in our family, being a leader in our community. And now I'm able to, because of their guidance, support, and their mentoring, to do good work in the world. But I would have never known that gift. And it came about one family reunion. You know, Dad had died. Our father had died before I was 2 years old. And so it meant I would never have a dad, where other people said that I'll be your dad, but I never felt they were. And so we were gathered under this pavilion on my father's side, all of his relatives, my brothers and sisters and mother, and I sensed nobody wanted to be there. And so I say, well, let me pose this question. Why do you think we should come to the family reunion? And they all were puzzled. And I said, I can only think of one primary reason we should come. Because if you do not come, I'll never know who my father is. Just receive that. There are times your gift will touch their heart. People start crying. Grown men start crying. I go to my sister, Gail. Gail, what has happened? Again, I'm young. I did not see the gift to touch people's heart, to encourage people. One of my cousins went behind the pavilion, and I asked him, can you tell me what you're thinking? He didn't tell me till a year later. And this is what he said. He says, Jeffrey, your father was like my father. And I see your father's gifts in you.
Oh,
I see your father's gifts in
that's
you.
beautiful. That's
And
beautiful.
so what am I saying? If I had to say don'ts, give this group some don'ts. Don't let man determine what your gifts are. Don't let man kind of pigeonhole you. I know some of you are teachers and professors, but there are gifts embedded in that role that can transfer upon the world. It can transform the world, okay? And so don't try to put it in a box. Go out, I would say, unto the world, in your family, in your community, in this greater world, and you will see some things beginning to unfold. I now think that my best gifts emerged when I started driving Uber. So I have driven 15,000 people in the city of Philadelphia and never had a gun pulled on me, and they love me to death. Really. And they start calling me one of God's angels. I said, no, wait a minute. When you grow up from religious background, I don't see myself as an angel, but let me quantify, let me clarify. But they were saying my voice encouraged them. They were crying in my arms. They were saying, Jeffrey, could I stay in touch with you? And this has happened to me thousands of times. My final point, or major point, I want all of you to know, as you go and do the littlest of things, try to be an astute observer how God is going to use you. And most importantly, how is he going to use your gifts for the greater good? And so expect, I think sometimes people are too rigid. I have this gift. I went to school that. I said, that's the starter kit. The bigger thing is try to be like an old country doctor who only puts in their bag what they need for the journey. So if I'm going out to help foster children, I have to bring a playful nature of my gifting to bear. I can lecture to them. No, I use drama. I have them act it out. I have them role play and they come alive. Some of the most traumatized kids in Philadelphia, I've been called to help over 33 years. All my colleagues will say, therapists, psychologists, well, this is how you deal with a traumatized child. I said, I don't deal with it that way. They said, what do you mean, Jeffrey? I said, I first ask them questions because it's fundamentally different when you study being trauma and a young kid lives it. And every time it never fails me. When I ask those probing questions, how are you getting through this? What do you do when mom and dad argue? What do you do when in the family there's no food? And we give them referrals and all kinds of stuff. They always come back with greater anointing, gifting that I can ever imagine. And it's from those children, it's from those adults that now I'm sharper. I can see it. But had they not given me the data from a life living and a life lived in trauma, I would have never got it because I'm trained in trauma, but I missed the point when I relied on my academic background. So God has taught me, listen to the people, hear what they're going through. And that helped me in corporate life, sir, doing affirmative action EEO, and it definitely helped me as a clinician. It definitely helps me as an Uber driver, and it definitely helps me to be a foster parent. So I throw that out to the group, but God-given gifts are amazing. And there will be times when you stumble, but let's continue to pray to God Almighty that he guides us and he protects us so that we can finally say that our people have been affirmed, that their gifts are not buried, that they're not beaten down, but instead those gifts are multiplied to help our family, the community, the world. I would like to see it multiply. And if we take the time to encourage our people, it multiplies. So given what I just said, comments of any sort to the group, from the group.
Let me share this. Let me share this with you, or in the group too.
Yes.
And many of us are familiar with this in the Bible, in Matthew 25, 14, and 30. And it's the parable of the talents.
Sure.
And in that, it talks about the talents that people are given and the responsibility that God has on us to utilize those talents. So and we're talking about God giving us, it is a gift. And then we have a responsibility also to utilize that gift. As you mentioned, Jeffrey, someone de-affirmed you when you were in your master's degree. So we cannot, PhD. Yep. So, we cannot be, when we have a talent, We have to realize it. We have to utilize it, and let one reaffirm us, and know it as a gift and a responsibility that we have to use this God-given gift.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
yes.
you.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful comment. I think that, just the concept of being reaffirmed, right, is so, it is so weighty and so powerful, because so many people are deflated. They stop pursuing, they stop, in their tracks, and don't get to realize their God-given gifts. And so I think that we have to, acknowledge, when we are feeling rejected and reaffirmed, so that we can grow, and not in a selfish way, but just be able to grow, knowing that, you have some God-given gifts, as we all do, but it's really learning to identify what those God-given gifts are, and how we begin the process of sharing those gifts, for the betterment of our family, our community, and the world.
Yes. Someone else. Mm-hmm.
Gail, not to put you on the spot, but kind of putting you on the spot, because this is your brother speaking. Anything you'd like to share, Gail?
She's muted.
She is. Well, I tell you, we've had really good talk. It's been very interactive. I'm very, very pleased. Brother Bill, I see that you're on. And I see lots of folks who I know who would have great comment, but I'm putting you on the spot, so. Any final comments before we begin to wind down? Sister Rashida, I appreciate your comments immensely.
I think this was very, very, very encouraging to me, and I appreciate it, because you have an idea, you believe you want to execute it. Everything looks like it's it's feasible, but doubt can enter into your psyche, and it is my responsibility to nurture something that I know that will be pleasing to God. And at the end of the day, that's what I have to ask myself. Will entering into this field be something that will glorify Allah and will be able to contribute positively to society? And I know both of those answers is yes. So I thank you for this presentation, because it really kind of like stirred something in me that needed to be stirred. Especially with this being the summertime, and you kind of like you start enjoying relaxing. You're like, maybe I want to do more relaxing. Why would I pick up more work for myself? This is the tail. I mean, I'm at the tail end of my career. I got 8 years left. Why would you pick up something new? But I really appreciate all of the conversation and all of the points that were made, and that knowing that you can have more than one gift, and you can't be afraid of actually working toward that, and not, just because everybody else is not doing it doesn't mean that you do it, because it's something that God put on my heart and allowed to happen organically. And that's another thing. If it happens organically, you really have to trust that that is from God, because it was nothing that, someone told her, or that, came about. And then when he allows you to be able to start working toward this gift, and it's a path of ease, then that's really another indication that this is something that you should do. When you're not belted with a whole bunch of complications and difficulties, but the path is actually, this is what I tell my husband, like if it's something that happens, and you don't have all of the different hangups that other decisions that you've made, then I think that's an indication that this is what you should be doing. So I truly thank you for this talk. It really touched my heart and made me feel a lot more comfortable in my decision. So thank you.
You're welcome. Can I just respond to this, Miss Gloria?
Yes.
Please give her my number. One of the things that I try to do is work the backstage so our people can be on the front stage. So if her dream is to be a behavior analyst, a behavioral specialist, a mental health tech, you please give her my number so that she can call and we can undergird her and support her. And that's another part of my gift that I love to do. And I never charge people.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's
beautiful.
That is true.
I will most definitely share your number with her. And to you, Sister Rashida, I just want to say that your spirit is so alive, and the fact that you can recognize that, you know, your gift, to fully be able to recognize your gift is when it does come organically and with ease. I think those are very powerful statements. So I appreciate it. Yes. Well, I tell you, we have reached the end of our journey today. And I want to thank you, Jeffrey, for really just providing this enlightening discussion. Again, this is Jeffrey L. Snowell, consultant. And he has done a lot of great work, mentoring and coaching, counseling, working in public relations and marketing and career development, workshops and seminars, lots and lots of good work. And I feel particularly blessed to have met him. This was actually last weekend at the Mali conference. And Mali is the Muslim American Logic Institute. And his dear sister, Gail Muhammad, was also there. And so I felt very, very blessed to have been able to meet you. And me and you and Gail and Sister Layla Muhammad sat around and laughed and talked and had a fabulous time. So yes, Layla, thank you very much for joining us today. Layla says, thank you all for the opportunity to participate. And Dr. Aisha says, thank you. So I'm very appreciative. So with that, if there are no further questions, I will conclude again with great gratitude and thanks for all of your being here and being present and participating. I so appreciate that. So I'm going to close with what I consider to be a very fitting surah, and that is Asa. And by the token of time, through the ages, verily man is at loss, except such as have faith, do righteous deeds, and join together in the mutual teachings of truth and patience and constancy. And I thank you all. I feel that we were able to come together and do that today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Sister Gloria.
Thank you.
Making beautiful presentation.
Wonderful.